What's a really awkward situation that everyone can relate with? Someone trying to initiate a handshake after you've just washed your hands. It's either a few awkward seconds of quickly drying your hands on your jeans, or shaking their hand anyway and seeing the discomfort in their eyes. This is me, but every handshake, because I have constantly sweaty hands. Saying hello or how are you to somebody and getting 100% ignored. Worse when someone else you know is there too and notices you getting ignored. That's when I just say good talk. Helps me feel like I save face just a bit. Guess I'll just go duck myself. Someone showing everyone in the group something on their phone and waiting until it is your turn. Even worse if it never makes it to you and you have to pretend you're not secretly dying to know what it is. Having your stomach rumble in the middle of a quiet class meeting. Edit both in college and at store meetings. My go-to cover-up strategy was to furiously flip through pages of notes to try and drown it out. When I feel anxious, my stomach rumbles uncontrollably, several times per minute, even. This started to be a problem in school because it would rumble constantly throughout exams and was super embarrassing. But soon enough, anytime I was in a quiet public situation, I'd be dreading my stomach rumbling, and that anxiety would cause it to rumble. This went on for probably around 5 years, and it was heck for me. I used to try so many techniques to suppress the rumbles. Eventually, I figured out it was anxiety related, and that I was unknowingly causing my own stomach to rumble uncontrollably by making myself anxious about it rumbling. Since then, it's been a lot easier to manage. I just focus on my breathing and try to break the cycle by not thinking about it. When you run out of things to say during a conversation and you're not quite sure how to end it, I usually ask, "So what are your plans for the rest of the day?" And that helps set the tone pretty well. The natural goodbye comes shortly afterwards. Not being able to pick up when someone else is completely disinterested in what you are talking about. You haven't said anything in 45 minutes. Are you okay? More like you haven't said anything in 45 minutes. I guess I gave you a lot to think about. Do you have any questions? Ever drag your shoe across a tile floor and have it make a loud, wet fart sound so everyone in the room looks at you? Then you insist it was your shoe and try to make the sound again, but nothing happens. Yeah, that. When you've had multiple interactions with someone, but you can't remember their name, but it's gone too far to admit you've forgotten it, so you just have to call them love or mate forever. I met this guy in my math class at the beginning of the semester and I never caught his name. We became friends and now it's the end of the semester and I still don't know his name. Not sure how to ask. Being called on to answer a question you really have no idea how to answer. Being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's mother starts yelling at your friend. Being at a friend's house as a kid and the friend's father walks in only wearing underwear. When you think someone waves at you, so you wave back, but they were waving at someone behind you. Just pretend you wave at someone behind them. Then the person behind them would wave back at you, but you should pretend to wave at the person behind them, and so on and so forth, until everyone is uncomfortable and just go home. Instructions unclear. Waved at the person behind me. When you're finishing up at the checkout and the cashier puts the notes on top of the receipt and then coins on top of that, then the next person steps up and you're fumbling, trying to disassemble the stack in your hand. Gather your shopping, say thanks and move away at the same time. When I was a cashier I made it a point to hand them their coin, wait, hand them their currency, and unless requested otherwise, I would put the receipt in the bag for this very reason. When you are video chatting, start talking and, because of the delay you interrupt each other all the time. Stop talking. Start again. Interrupt the other one. Stop talking. Never ending story. Followed by 30 uninterrupted seconds of Cold War silence. When someone asks what's going on, and you respond good, you. The fake smile on your face when you receive a terrible gift. When you're walking and almost trip for no reason and look back at the invisible stick that you tripped on. When you reply to a stranger who says hello, but then realize they were on the phone and not speaking to you. Happened to me just yesterday, and I didn't get any sleep last night as I couldn't stop reliving the moment. When you swallow water wrong, and it turns to a coughing fit in 2021. Dude, yesterday in the grocery store I accidentally swallowed my own spit wrong. Just so random. Out of nowhere choking, and then of course coughing. Like, a shit ton of coughing. My boyfriend was freaking out on me that everyone was gonna be mad at us, make us leave. Nothing happened. But I've never felt like such a criminal before. I made sure to say I just choked on my own spit really loud, which also didn't make me feel great. When you're saying goodbye to someone, and then you both end up walking in the same direction. Or when you turn and walk into a wall with people watching. When you're having a conversation with someone, and you don't hear what they say, so you ask them to repeat and they do, but you still don't hear it, and ask them to repeat again and they do, and you still don't know what they said. Do you ask them to repeat again and maybe still not hear it? Pretend you heard it, and nod your head and hope it's an appropriate response. Stab yourself in the eye with a pen to create a diversion, and change the subject. Standing there while two people talk about something you don't know about. When you're walking past co-worker and you've already said hello earlier, everyone's making that weird flat smile. When you walk out of the store empty-handed, feeling like you've just stole something. It's worse if you make eye contact with the cashier, or worse, the security guy. Go to wash your hands and the water comes out at 1,000 miles an hour, splashing your crotch. You are of course, at work. Walking through a doorway, only to catch your clothes on the handle, and have it slingshot you backwards. When you try to contribute to a conversation and someone cuts you off multiple times, and you patiently wait for your turn to speak, even though it already was, but by the time the air is clear, the subject has already changed, and what you were going to say is now irrelevant. Stalking someone on social media and accidentally liking a comment from months years ago. When you go for a hug, but the other person goes for a handshake. So you start with a handshake, but do a weird hug at the same time with your hands in each other's crotches. I just skip all that, and go right for the crotch. Coming out of a public toilet, after laying a beast and there is someone waiting to go in the cubicle. Worse when you've blocked it up. When you're walking on a sidewalk with two other friends and you're the person that does not fit, so you have to stay behind them. When someone keeps calling you by a wrong name, you let it slide to begin with thinking they have just made a mistake, but then it carries on for such a long time that you can never correct them. I called a guy John for months until finally we were interacting, and he looks at me like, why do you call me John? My name is Bill. Whoops. It's funny because my usual go-to if I don't know someone's name is Bill. I was dead convinced this guy's name was John. When you start to tell a story in a group, but in middle of sentence realize that no one is actually listening, and ever so slowly you get quiet and hope no one took notice, when they don't realize that you were getting quiet. At first you think good, nobody noticed, but seconds later you start to feel bad that nobody was really paying attention to you, not even hearing that you were making noises, and that feels awful. Having happy birthday sung to you. Farting while coughing or sneezing. When you're out and someone approaches you with an "oh hi" insert name, nice to see you again, and you have no idea who that person is. When you say something funny and no one reacts, so you say it again, and they're like, why did you just repeat that stupid joke? I'm not sure if everyone can relate to this, but one of the most awkward situation I've ever found myself in was being invited to meet my girlfriend's family, and over dinner her parents got into a massive fight. Calling your teacher mom. As a nurse, you are commonly thanked by a patient when you leave their room. Once in a while they say something else, and the "you're welcome" comes out by habit. When you start a story and it gets interrupted a bunch of times, so that what was an amazing story with a kick-ass finish punchline is instead just a waste of time now. Kind of knowing someone in the office. Well, you guys spoke that one time, so now every time you see each other, in the lift, walking down the corridor, you have to decide where to put your eyes until you naturally see each other and say hi. Ugh. You ever clogged a toilet in somewhere that wasn't your house? When you're pissing in a urinal and a dude just pulls up to the one beside you, even though there are 8 urinals available. When you accidentally say "you too" after someone says something that isn't compatible with that statement and you just stare awkwardly at each other. Enjoy your flight, you too. When you type your password in the username box while someone is watching, then you have the act like you didn't just write shrimpy cum S6969 in plain view. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,